Hey there, Schwermetallisch here. Just this Monday, I had the pleasure to talk to Jeff Rolland of the band Sacrilege, a new wave of British heavy metal band, and a really nice bloke. Yeah, we talked about very, very diverse things, guilty pleasures, music, the new wave of British heavy metal, of course, and yeah, the state of affairs in the world nowadays. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. I hope if you tune in, you have a lot of fun too. Just like this video, subscribe, have fun, and most of all, stay safe.
Good, that's good.
Yeah, I thought it's better to wear the headset, so I have a perfect sound from me to you, and I can, if your volume wise not loud enough for me, I can just turn it up on my headphones.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So how things anyway? How things with you?
Oh yeah, Germany is pretty fucked, but as I read yesterday, yeah, UK is a bit more fucked than us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're in a real bad state. Yeah.
I read about 60,000 new infections a day.
Yeah.
That's whoa.
Yeah.
We had 30,000 last year, and that was about the point where I began to I became really scared of this shit. And 60k is this is crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah, we're running on average at around 1,000 deaths a day here, which is appalling. Absolutely. And yeah, so pretty much everybody now knows someone who's either got it, had it, or died from it.
Yeah, it's not that bad here, but yeah, okay, I'm part of the risk group because I have diabetes and high blood pressure, and that makes it scary a thousandfold for me. So yeah, I almost can feel how you might feel.
Yeah, so so everybody, well, I say everybody, not everybody, clearly, but most of us are, taking sensible precautions, not seeing people outside their own household and so forth. I work in an office. I haven't seen my office since March. But I'm able to work from home, so, that's fine. So
yeah, that's pretty good. To be able to work in the home office is yeah, it's a key at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So on to something that is not so sad and scary. Yeah, Sacrilege, a new wave of British heavy metal band, and yeah, quite an old one. You were formed in 1982, as I recall.
That's correct. Bill Beadle, Mr. Sacrilege, if you like, put together the original lineup of the band back in 1982. They actually made an appearance on network television here before they'd even played a gig. So they actually did a big TV performance on a mainstream TV channel over here before even playing a gig. So basically potted history, if you like. So the band lasted for about 5 years. Then sort of it wasn't really going the way Bill wanted, and the usual thing, you'll have heard this sort of tale from loads of bands, sort of life gets in the way, marriage, job, buying a house, that sort of thing. So sort of go fast forward all the way to about sort of 2010-ish. Bill, sort of about 2007 actually, Bill started re-recording some of those old albums or old songs, and together with new material, put albums out. And then around 2012, got back to playing live again. And here we are. So that's basically a sort of very short history.
What do you think is the difference between bands from that day and age, and bands nowadays? Because I get the notion that bands of the 90s and the 2000, the zero years, don't have that, I say, problem that life gets in the way that much as with bands from the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I think probably that's the case. They've sort of yet to sort of really hit that, and in some ways, because I think the whole business around music is so much different now to what it was then. I think probably expectations are a little different. So yeah, I mean they're sort of coming in at a time when, you know, life in general, technology has made life for bands a lot easier than it will have been sort of back then in the 80s in terms of getting your music out to people and so forth. So I think you're probably right. I think the motivations are probably a bit different for bands these days.
Do you think that it has to do with a different set of values you had back then, and the people of the present time have, because those are different values in life?
Yeah, I think that probably is it. I mean, I think you anticipated that very well, Dennis. I mean, I was going to make the point that I think, you know, society changes, you know, for good or bad. I'm not going to make that judgment. So I think that, yeah, the values people have and the way you go about your business as a band is different now to what it would have been back then. So, you know, in terms of, you know, how you might gig or actually sort of doing more online in terms of performance, meaning those old pressures we all went through in the 80s of driving a lot of miles to play to no one, and people sort of getting fed up with that and wanting to depart and do other things. I think those pressures are probably a bit less now for bands. So yeah.
I think an interesting part of that is that I have the feeling that nowadays it's you can't become a band like Iron Maiden anymore. It's completely impossible to become successive like that, or like Metallica. It's just not it's not possible, because the structures in the music business and our values and the overall society has changed that lot. But I also get the feeling that this point of life getting in the way of stardom or possible stardom, that were real possibilities in that day and age, in the 70s and in the 80s and the 60s. Of course, it was still possible to become that big, but due to the values, the different set of values the people had, they sometimes decided to not give it a try and rather be a family father or seek for another job opportunity and or a different career. And today I get I'm reviewing very, very, very much bands, and I get the notion, the feeling that bands are hungry again. I think in the 90s and in the beginning of the 2000 years, bands were not so hungry anymore. And even the old ones like Iron Maiden, like Metallica, are hungry again. I don't know where that comes from, but bands have to do more than not more. Okay, it's really different because you there's not as much money in it than yesteryear, but nevertheless they are hungry and they want to do it, and I think it's kind of interesting how that counteracts and is to totally in a different direction.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent assessment. I mean, just to sort of take that apart, I think there's a few things behind that. One, I think you must be bugging my phone, because the number of times I've said to friends that you never see a rock band be as big as Iron Maiden again. That will never happen. So I don't know whether you've been listening into me or something there. But I think you're right. In going back to that whole point about values and what it took in the old days. I mean, let's not forget, certainly, those bands, you look even before Maiden, so you look back to Sabbath and Priest, did, just toured and toured and toured and toured and toured. As did Maiden. Maiden, in their early days, worked incredibly hard. I'm not saying they don't work hard now, by the way, it's just at a different level. And yeah, I think you're right. That whole thing, that whole culture shift, partly technology, to be fair, meant that bands weren't working that hard and didn't have expectation, didn't expect to do that. I remember seeing a review 5-6 years ago of a band where the reviewer had said they've paid their dues, they've played 20 gigs in the last 2 years. Now, that's not paying your dues at all. I mean, that whole thing about expectations have changed. But I take your point as well about sort of some of those older bands sort of getting out and really, really working. I wonder, in the case of both bands, whether they've potentially thought they've rested on their laurels a little and want to be seen to be doing more. I think particularly Metallica always seem to be under a great deal of pressure from their fan base. I remember reading a great quote a while back that said, actually, no one has a fan base who hates them more than Metallica does. So I think they're always under some pressure to deliver, and actually I think they've done so. A lot of my friends are sort of talking about, recently, while it might not be the level of Master of Puppets, for instance, you certainly get the sense they've been on their way back now with their recent output, which is good.
I love it. I love Hardwired. It's really a kick-ass album, and
it's a great album.
The namesake track, Hardwired itself, it was the first single I heard of that, and it was like I got goosebumps, and I remembered quite a lot of Battery, which is my absolute favorite song of Metallica.
Nice choice.
Yeah, it's like an end escape of Ride the Lightning. Yeah. It's one of those songs I heard as a kid. I think I was 9 or 10 years old, and we had it on tape, and I remembered 25 years later that my brother and me were actually really part of tape trading, and that is fucking cool because I missed Woodstock, so at least I was part of tape trading, Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Metallica, and your video just froze. Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Hey there, me again. Yes, Jeff had technical problems with his laptop, so we had to do this in two parts, but don't be afraid, there's a second part right after this. So I'm out, and this continues right now.
Difficulties is Schwermetallisch with Jeffrey Rolland from Sacrilege, and the last point we were talking about was tape trading. So I was just about to I don't know the word in English. It's I was about to show off because I was part of tape trading in the early 90s.
No, I think I think it's great. There was a lot of that about, we all did the same. The other thing that was really prized were bootleg recordings from concerts. And there used to be a chap who ran a stall near where I lived in London at the time, who would sell all those where someone had sneaked in a little microphone into the Hammersmith Odeon or whatever, and recorded Slayer or Motorhead. So that was always good.
Do you remember the name of the manager of Led Zeppelin?
Peter Grant.
Yeah, he was. There's a story about Peter entering a record store. He knew perfectly well who they sold bootlegs of Led Zeppelin, and he went there with a baseball bat, and he tore the place down. that was Peter Brown.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that story, but from other stories I've heard, it doesn't surprise me at all.
It's got its upsides and its downsides to have a manager who will kill a person for you.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah. Does mean you'll get taken seriously.
Of course. Okay, today it's not. It's a different time. You can't be like that anymore without getting shot by the police.
Yeah, true.
Okay, in Germany you actually can, because our policemen cannot shoot people. We mustn't. It's like no, it's a no. We are not allowed to shoot people.
Well, yeah, which I think's a good thing, basically.
Yeah, basically that's a very good thing. It's a rather bad thing that the rest of the world is not like that.
No, fair point. Yes.
But I think Germans learned about violence. We learned a lot of lessons.
Indeed. Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah.
Just yesterday, I was kind of upset because an American Facebook friend of mine, a mate, talked about a situation in America and used the term Nazi Germany as a comparison to the political situation at the moment there, and I totally get what he meant and why he stated it like that. But it's always a shitty feeling for us Germans if we realize that it's a common historical term to refer to us to those times as that was in Nazi Germany, because we, at least the people I hang out with, and we really do everything to be good people, and that's fucking difficult to be honest. It's difficult to be a good man or woman, to be a good person, and that's always something to haunt you if you are a German.
No, I can understand. I've known other people from Germany express that very same point. Yeah, and as you say, for something like that, it's an easy reference point for others elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, And it's the sad thing about this is that is it's not untrue. Well, it's not true. Of course, Nazi Germany is a perfect reference point for the absolute evil that you're able to imagine. But I think after over 70 years, we really just want to forget that.
Quite. Yeah. No, understandable.
But we talked about Metallica, we talked about Iron Maiden, and we talked about, of course, tape trading and being part of that history. And you being part of Sacrilege is, of course, you being part of history. So I always thought of the new wave of British heavy metal as some kind of musical genre until I had the privilege and the possibilities to listen to really fucking much of it and realize it's rather a petri dish for modern metal, for everything that came afterwards. What are your thoughts about what happened in the new wave of British heavy metal and what it represents?
Yeah, your analogy there of the petri dish, I think is brilliant. So I came into that time as a fan, actually not particularly a fan of traditional rock music at the time. I wasn't a great fan of sort of bands like Led Zeppelin or Sabbath or whatever. I sort of got into that later. So I came at it from the sort of punk end. But that time in the early 80s was a real melding of different styles. As I say, hence your use of the term petri dish, because it took those real old elements of the sort of music from the early 70s, took the sort of speed and aggression of punk and went with it and so forth. And I think you look back, or you look at younger bands who try and recreate what the new wave of British heavy metal was about, and quite often they come out sounding like Iron Maiden. Now, Maiden are distinct, great band, but actually that whole range of different sorts of bands that were out there at the time were really different. They just had the opportunity to come along at the same time. It wasn't that, any of them particularly sounded alike. And I think that's an important thing. And then you saw that as the launch pad for sort of that next wave of metal that came along, the thrash bands and so forth, because Metallica often played on bills with, bands like Tank and so forth. So, it was really influential. But I think, people tend to overlook just how diverse it was at the time. And it was brilliant. What a time to be alive. There weren't enough, living in London, there weren't enough days in the week to see all the bands you wanted to go and see.
The thought alone to live in that day and age, to be like, I don't know, 25, 28, and be able to witness the origin of this genres and subgenres is that would be if I fell, if I dropped that and go to heaven. This is what I imagine it's like. It's like you can go see all the bands and every gig you ever wanted to witness, and it's like okay, I'm being at that gig and I can go into the next room and see Jimi Hendrix, and if I had enough, I'm just going to sleep, and the next day I can do the same thing, or I can visit the first Deep Purple gig, or I don't know, be in the rehearsal room with Rob Halford when he first sang Diamonds and Rust, you know. That's what I imagine heaven feels like, and I can drink and eat what I want without becoming ill. That's it. Yeah, it's the simple things for a diabetic.
yeah, no, fair play. No, I get that. Yeah, I mean, you know, I do feel sort of, you know, I feel very old these days, but I do feel very lucky to have been around at a time when there was so much available, and in so many places. You know, the music scene was just, you know, so vibrant then. You know, they're just brilliant times. And because of those sort of issues we talked about earlier, you know, that will never happen again. We'll never have a sort of club music scene, not in the UK at least. You know, it may well be different in Germany, but in the UK at least, we'll never have a vibrant rock club scene as we had then.
Yeah, it's in the 80s. It was like in Germany we have the Ruhrgebiet, like Essen, Dortmund, Bochum, Gelsenkirchen, all those towns, and it's very much the like the English Birmingham and places like that. It's cities for hardworking people. At least it was in the 80s. You know, society has changed. We all work from home. Many people can work from home now. No one has to get their hands dirty anymore, like in those times. But yeah, there was a similar revolution of music, even here, and I think it's interesting that these depressing circumstances of you know, you're being brought up and you see that your father is working hard, and maybe he's working till he drops dead on his workplace or at his workplace, and that's how your future will look. So and that different countries that had these situations and these circumstances all had the idea of creating heavy metal.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, there used to be an old saying about, you know, people growing up in those sort of communities you're talking about. You know, there were only two ways out. You could either become a footballer or you'd play in a rock band. You know, there are only two ways out of that situation, you know?
Yes, it's pretty much like if you're not good at school, you have to be good at sports.
Yeah.
And if you're not living in America and you cannot play football, you become a rock musician and try your luck there and try to become successful with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my idea too a few years ago, but it didn't happen. So I thought, okay, fuck it, I will write about it.
No, and you do a brilliant job of it. So, you know,
I try. At least I try.
No, and it's an important thing. Going back to the punk thing, I was talking with someone yesterday, and it was the old question of the differences between UK and US punk back in the 70s. And I said, well, actually, with the UK punk, there was all these supporting structures. This whole generation of writers and so forth just came out, and they were able to, you know, work on what we call over here fanzines. I don't know whether you're familiar with the term, but it was basically cheap publications put together by people on their kitchen table. before the internet. And a lot of that sort of stuff is carried on over to the internet. So yeah, this whole business, what people like yourself do, is vitally important. It's an absolute, part of the whole movement we're in. As legitimate as any other piece.
I started to write in 2013, I think, and I will never manage to do a good TH. It won't happen in my lifetime. But it was like I started to write because I just wanted to do something in the scene. I wanted to belong, and when I started again, I had 3 years, I think, where I did not write. I was practically on hiatus because I was out of luck with my my PC. My personal computer just died on me, and I was broke as fuck. So I couldn't buy another one. So I just had to pause. It was like that. I was broke very long, and I was very broke. So there was no chance for me to continue doing the thing. And when I restarted it last year in May, I read a lot in the meantime, and my approach to writing reviews is a different one nowadays, because I read that one article in the magazine Death Forever, in the German magazine, about how English magazine criticized Angel Witch. I don't know the term Verriss in English. It's like if you get a bad review that's so bad that it practically fucks you over.
Yeah.
And someone with a big name did a review on Angel Witch, and he really fucked the band over. And that was the reason why they never became bigger than they are now. And that changed my perspective on writing reviews, due to the way that I only review stuff I know I like to a certain point.
Yeah.
I don't review stuff that I know I will hate, because I will write a bad review.
Yeah.
And that is a waste of my time, and it doesn't help the band.
Yeah.
So why should I do that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I mean, it's an interesting one. I've known people in the past in bands who've taken the approach where if it's a bad review, nevertheless, it's putting your name out there. But I'm not sure that necessarily is a good thing. And I think you're right. Why, if someone's coming at it from a completely different sort of perspective, and they're not really, they don't really enjoy that sort of music anyway, then it actually also doesn't offer any insight to those who do. So someone like you, who's well versed in the genre and everything else, can actually write about a band or an album or whatever and give it some insight. Someone who maybe, I don't know, generally listens to country and western, for instance, just wouldn't understand it in the first place, and it would all be bad. So there's no value in that standpoint, really. So yeah.
And I think it's I know that bands are struggling hard nowadays to earn at least something from doing music. I know that gigs are paid really shitty, if they are paid at all. If you're not one of the very unlucky ones that just get paid in beer. Okay, beer's cool, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and in most of the bands, the hungry ones, really work their asses off like they did in the 70s and in the 80s. They drive around, they pay a lot of money for doing so. They end the tour with less money than they started it with.
Yeah.
And nowadays you can just make money with selling merch and stuff like that. And who am I to piss on your dreams?
Yeah.
If I write a bad review and I wrote a lot and I'm at a point where my career is gaining traction.
Yeah.
I'm getting more followers. Everything is getting bigger. The proportions change, and the bigger I get, the more weight I have. The more
Yes.
weight is in the words I write. And
Yeah, quite. Yeah.
that I cannot do that.
Yeah.
That's not my job. It's not my job to piss on your dreams. So I think better just review stuff where I have a chance to have fun with and have a chance to help the band. And I don't get paid for it either way. So I will just do what I want.
Yeah. No, that's quite a noble sentiment, really. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like, and I know that everybody needs help sometimes, and the scene always needs help, and the underground bands, yeah, they don't make money, but they don't start to make music. They are not in for the money.
No.
So yeah, a band can really suffer from bad reviews or from bad press. So I don't want to be a part of that. But I had a clash with a musician last month, I think. I wrote a review and it was a 7 out of 10 rating.
Yeah.
And he was furious. He was really furious about the review, and I didn't quite understand it because it wasn't a bad review. A bad review is 2 of 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
It like that. But okay, it was like, okay, if you ever record another album, I won't review that, and so we're not in each other's way.
No, fair dues. I do sometimes find the scores that writers put to albums don't necessarily reflect what they've put in the content of the review. You know, I've seen it where someone said, I love this track, love that track, oh, that's great, that's a brilliant opening, the guitar solo's amazing. And they give it like 7 out of 10. I'm thinking, well, you've said everything about this album is brilliant, and you give it 7. What do you actually have to do to get a 10? You know, so it's all, you know, one person's objective, of course, but it is that, you know, guess what? If you're going to put a marking system, try and have it sort of bear some relationship to what you've actually put in the review.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to write 10 reviews in a row of bands that are good.
Yeah.
Because if you have 10 bands and 5 are bad and 5 are great, it's more easy to just say, okay, this is a 8, this is a 9, this is a 10, this is a 5, this is a 4. But if you always get high quality stuff, or you get it quite often, because the bubble you created for yourself is like that.
Yeah,
it's difficult. It's really difficult. And sometimes I have to read my review again and re-evaluate my review, my rating system, because okay, that's not fair. I said I love this. Okay, I have to give it 1 more point.
Yeah,
like that. But I tend to give EPs that have 2 songs. 1 song is good, 1 song is great. I tend to give them never 10 points, because it's like you order a pizza and half of it tastes like shit. but you only you only test the other side, so it's like it's not representable for the work of that band. At least that's what I think about that.
No, I think that's fair dues. I mean, obviously, I think there's got to be that sort of balance, isn't there? If half an hour, you know, just to make it simple, if half an album's good and the other half's poor, then logically you're going to put a rating somewhere halfway up a scale, aren't you?
It might be best to have a rating system that is based on words, that you use. If you use the word great and you use it one time, and you use the word awesome or I love this, blah blah blah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
every word has a different rating.
Yeah.
It's like this is 3 points, this is 5 points, this is 7 points, and you don't rate it yourself. Someone who reads it does the math of your review and rates it. Because if I would rate my stuff, my reviews like that, and every one of them I write about on a good month, I did write 38 reviews.
Yeah.
It's not possible to do it like that, because I have a life aside from that.
No, fair dues. No. Yeah, I mean there must be some sort of algorithm out there you can apply to the words you have, and it sort of comes up with a score.
That would be really helpful for me. Yeah, really, I would love that. You released a record with Sacrilege last year.
Yeah.
The year before. Not last year,
now.
but 2019.
We've written off last year. We've forgotten it. No, that's it. So yeah, you're right. 2019. So we released the Cult of the Insane towards around autumn time, so the back end of the year in 2019. That's correct. Yeah.
Did you get to tour for that album?
I think we ended up playing about 3 or 4 shows. That's all we managed to play. We've just gone past the first anniversary of our last gig. Our last gig was January the 4th, 2020. So so no more than 3 or 4 shows. So we've a few people have asked, "Oh, are you doing new material? Are you going to be releasing a new album soon?" And yes, there's some bit of work on new material, but frankly, we haven't had a chance to promote this album yet properly. So we're really keen to sort of, when circumstances allow, get back out and sort of promote the album properly, really.
Yeah, hit me up about that. I will write something for you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate that.
De nada. You're very welcome. So you're writing already stuff for the follow-up to the Cult of the Insane?
Yeah, there's been a few ideas knocking around between the boys. Nothing serious yet. I mean, we've only got together once. There was a point where the restrictions in England eased a little last year, and there was possibility we might be able to do a gig or two, so we met up. But while there's been a few exchanges of ideas, nothing really beyond that yet. But hopefully there'll be something a bit more concrete this year. Whether that ends up in an album being released this year, I'm not entirely sure. As I say, we've got a lot of work to do with the Cult of the Insane yet. But yeah, there's still work in progress.
How often does it happen that people come to you when you're crossing the street and ask you if you are Rob Halford?
Only on a daily basis. Yeah, certainly at gigs. We had to have a chap who does our sound and lights, Richard. We were doing a festival in Norfolk a couple of years ago, and he had to really work hard to convince someone that I wasn't Rob Halford. Rob, if you're watching this, we'll do a pre-show and we'll swap places, mate. It'll be fine, you know.
Yeah, I see that the beard is different. You look a bit different, and Rockwell has a tattoo on his
The tattoo,
head. So.
yeah. Well, don't worry, I'll get one. It'll make a change from having them on my arms and legs. So, yeah, I'll get one on my head as well.
But I think he has cats too.
Yes, he does. Yeah, I've seen that somewhere. Yeah.
He's a big fan of
we're
cats.
like that, me and Rob. We're one and the same, you know.
What is that? What is that? What a breed is that? That cat you have?
The one you saw. We have two cats. One you saw is what's called here a tortoise shell.
Tortoise shell.
Or alternatively, they're often called calicos. So just multicolored cat, basically.
Calicos.
Yeah.
I think my girlfriend will know what that is.
Yeah. So she's one, and her sister's a black cat, but she's a little more shy.
We have a black cat too.
Oh, excellent.
It's an Eddie.
Oh, right. Great.
But not related to Ed Hunter from Iron Maiden. It's the cat of my girlfriend, and he was named Eddie all along. So I had no hand in that.
Oh, fair dues. Well, that's good. Good name anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it's normally I thought I was a dog person, and I still think I'm kind of a dog person, but I'm becoming a cat person, I think.
I think you'll find you'll go back to your roots, so to speak. When I first came to live with the lady who's now my wife, she had a dog, and I sort of I began to think, oh, I'm becoming a dog person now. Dog's great, love the dog and everything else. And then we got a cat, and I'm like, no, I'm a cat person. There's no doubt, you know. So
I realized the problem is when you have a dog, it's like he is what you miss in a cat. It's like this always clinging together. You just have to make a sound and the dog is there. But that is exactly the thing you find somewhat unnerving about a dog too.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like I want to just pick up the cat and cuddle it. If it would be a dog, he would be very thankful and he would love to be picked up and cuddled. And the cat's just like, no, fuck you, mate.
Yeah. That 3-word phrase, fuck you, mate, is cat attitude, certainly. Yeah.
Catitude.
Catitude. Yeah.
I have a nickname for the cat, and my girlfriend doesn't think it's funny, but he's when we don't cut the claws, it's always like a clickety-clack when he's moving around, so I called him Cat Astaire. And I think it's hilarious. No. It's always this, no, not funny. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Back to music. If you could dream up a tour, what would be the bands you would love to accompany?
Oh, good question. So it's always going to be your favourite bands. Bit of a clue there, I think. You know, I think to tour with Motorhead would be quite wild, to be fair. It's an interesting question because you also take on board, you know, if you're touring with another band, you hope they're going to be nice people, you know. So I sort of did a little tour last year, helping out some friends of mine, and we toured with Girls' School, who I knew anyway, but they were great fun to be with on the road. So be nice to go out on the road with them again. So, yeah, no, certainly, yeah, all the biggies, yeah, wouldn't mind going on tour with Ozzy. I bet that'd be an absolute scream, to be fair.
What was the name of that band?
Ozzy.
Ozzy.
As in Ozzy Osbourne.
Ah, okay. You know each other?
Oh, I wish. No.
I got a picture of him. I had my hand on his shoulder because we want to meet and greet.
Oh, right, yeah.
It was cool for 1 second because it was like, okay, we touch each other, we get a picture, and then the security comes and shoves you away. It's like,
yeah.
Okay, go. That was your moment.
Yeah,
leave.
Quite.
And so it was okay. We had Zakk Wylde as support.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I don't know. It's he just got the new guitar player Gus G, and Gus G's style of playing is much more to my liking than Zakk Wylde's. Zakk is a great guitarist, but like Yngwie Malmsteen, it always feels like he's playing with himself. It's like masturbation on the guitar.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
I always have a problem with guitarists straying too far away from the main melody of the song, because it's kind of distracting sometimes, and it's if you want to shred, then shred, but don't overdo it. Don't shred for 10 minutes straight, because that's just it's masturbation.
Yeah.
So,
no, agree with you. Yeah, absolutely.
And Gus is great at shredding for a very short period of time. Just like he plays the song, and when the time for his part is there, he shreds for about, I don't know, 40 seconds, and it's fucking great. And then he returns to the main melody, and the structure remains intact.
Yeah.
So that is what I like most, classic structures of rock music. Or the if you are into proggy music, it's like this box in a box, song in a song structures. Like we have a bridge into another part of the song that is the song itself, and the bridge goes in and out, and structures like that are great. But these shred gasms over 10 minutes just distract me from the structures. That is, I don't know, I don't like it.
No, I'm with you on that, mate. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little overdone, to be fair. And as you say, bears little relationship to the song itself.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we know you can play, mate. You don't need to demonstrate it all the time. You know.
One final question for today. I have, and mostly people answer in the same way, but I'm thrilled to at a loss for words. Okay, onto the question, because I'm making a fool out of myself with my English sometimes. What is your musical guilty pleasure?
Musical guilty pleasure. I don't even know if it is anymore, or is it credible? As a bass player, I can't play funk. I've tried and I just can't do it. But Chic in particular, Bernard Williams, the bass player from Chic, is incredible. So that sort of thing's a bit my guilty pleasure, really. Sort of stuff, you know, a little bit of. As I get older, I'm getting more into sort of funk and that sort. But if you want a real howler, I'll give it to you. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. If you really want a guilty pleasure, I love that song.
I heard that. I don't know. We really listened to Christmas music a lot last year because I think we had to force that Christmas spirit into this house. That was in great parts it was a miserable year, and we just wanted to get that Christmas spirit, and overdid it a bit with Christmas music. I think I know every Sinatra Christmas song now by word in the sleep, and of course we heard Mariah Carey, and but the version I like the most is in the movie Love Actually.
All right, yeah.
The kids sing in it.
Yeah.
It's that is a great version, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a great movie, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting point you talking about Christmas, because obviously I appreciate that it's a really important time of year in Germany, and there's all the markets and everything else, and you obviously won't have been able to do that to the same extent. So did you find other people sort of compensating in that same way, just trying to do more around other things such as music or maybe film or whatever to sort of compensate for that?
We are not the most sociable people. we mostly just hang out alone. We cook a lot, and we watch a lot of movies and TV shows. So I can't say that I know of people who did that, but the family of my girlfriend watched many Christmas movies too. That is one thing I know. We set a goal of watching Christmas movie every day in Christmas time. So we saw a lot of Christmas movies, and some of those movies I saw twice. Not this year, but that was not my first rodeo with that movie.
Yeah.
So to speak. And of course, with my brother, I had the opportunity to watch the ultimate Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Die Hard.
Die Hard. Had to be done. I sat the wife down in front of it and I said, "You're going to watch this. You know, it's tradition. You have to watch Die Hard." So, how do you feel about having an Englishman play a German in that movie?
I honestly think that Alan Rickman was really perfect.
Yeah.
He was just perfect in that role, and it's every time he had the possibility to play a villain, you could see it in his eyes that he was really giddy. He loved to play this. It was just like tasting something that is really awesome. He was a great sheriff of Nottingham in the Robin Hood movie, and he was a perfect Hans Gruber.
Yeah.
And as I watched it again, it was like, okay, I now realized this is not just a great action movie. This is an overall fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Everything about this movie is straight up top notch. How he played that part, and how Gruber played this part, how Rickman played Gruber, and all the terrorists, the Swedes. It was like, yeah, that was really exciting to revisit this movie with my mindset I have now to realize this is really really good movie.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think it's well crafted, and there's lots of sort of layers, you know, below that about, you know, sort of everything in terms of that sort of law enforcement and, you know, how they handle situations like that or not handle them and so forth. You know, I mean, actually, it's quite a critique of the whole American gung-ho attitude, and we'll go in there and we'll do this, and actually that doesn't turn out very well. So yeah, there's a lot of levels there, I think.
There were even scenes and parts of scenes I saw which I didn't remember at all. Was like when he was shooting at the cop at his pal. The cop he becomes his pal later on because they're talking about the walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
And the moment he's shooting at him and he's driving backwards and he's really falling down this. I don't know the word in English, but in German it would be it's a Graben or
right,
it's a Hügel. It was a little hill, yeah.
Yeah.
He just drove backwards down that hill, and it was like, oh fuck, that is an accident. He might get killed.
Yeah,
but
quite. Yeah.
But he didn't. Okay, that was great, but I didn't remember this certain part of the movie.
Yeah.
So I will have to revisit this year on Christmas. Maybe there's something I missed last time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it does happen. Yeah, like you, funnily enough, I remember that scene where he goes down this ravine. So yeah, again, it was something I hadn't picked up previously. So yeah.
Last thing for today, I will tell you my guilty pleasure.
Go for it.
I'm a big fan of AOR.
Yeah.
I really love Survivor, Foreigner, and stuff like that. That's really great.
No, that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's just catchy as fuck, and I really love that. And they almost always have really awesome vocalists, and I'm a sucker for great voices. So that is my weakness, my kryptonite.
Yeah, no, they have to have great vocalists. To be fair, I mean, not that it's a band you named there, but let's be honest, More Than a Feeling by Boston has the greatest riff of all time. You know.
Maybe not the greatest riff, but definitely one of the most memorable I can remember now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really a great song.
Yeah.
And
so you're right. I mean, the quality of songwriting and everything else in that genre just has to be top notch. You know, everything is, you know, going back to ratings, everything there has to be a 10. Quality of the vocal, quality of the lyrics, quality of the musicianship. You know, you can't fall down a notch really playing that stuff because the standards are so high, you know. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's not based on riffs or based on brutality or based on attitude. It's based on melody.
Yeah.
And because of that, everything has to be top notch. And if there's one person in the band that skips a beat, it's lost.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that a band like Survivor gets almost cheesy in almost every song. In almost every song, they get to a point where you think, oh, this is getting really cheesy now, and then they play a hard rock riff. Always on that border. They play a hard rock riff and turn it around and become really, they just hit it out of the park right with the turnaround, and it's always a plot twist, and because of that, it's irresistible for me.
Yeah, that's just great songwriting, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, Survivor. Jimmy Jameson died a few years ago. That was really shitty.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see him, so that was really not a good year for me. Let's hope that this whole Corona situation blows over soon. Maybe this summer or late summer, when everything is in place with vaccines and stuff like that, and we can go out and play and rock out together again. And yeah, maybe you come to Germany and we drink a beer together.
Would love to. I missed out. So Sacrilege went to Germany around spring of 2019. I couldn't go. I was I'd been in a car accident and couldn't go, and everyone just told me what a brilliant experience it was. And we were due to go back last year, and obviously we couldn't. So I'd really love to get over there, you know.
Okay, so we promised each other to stay safe and stay healthy, and when this blows over, we'll drink a beer together when you're touring in Germany.
Okay, that's a promise, Dennis.
Nice. Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time for the interview, and it was a blast. Thanks, Jeffrey.
No. Thanks, Dennis. Yeah. It's brilliant. And next time you see me, it's Jeff.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been great talking to you. All the best, and we'll hook up again, hopefully in the not too distant future.
Yeah, maybe if the new output comes out, or if you have to do a little advertising before that, just hit me up.
We'll
do something.
That's brilliant. No, thanks for the offer, Dennis. We'll definitely take you up on that.
You're very welcome.
Brilliant. Anyway, you take care, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now, mate. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.